please stand for invocation or a moment of silence by Ms. LeBlanc.
First, I'd like to thank God and pray for the students' safety and the recent letters that the schools have been receiving across the country. I would want to pray to keep our students safe. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to read an old Irish blessing. May love and laughter light your days and warm your heart and home. May good and faithful friends be yours wherever you may roam. May peace and plenty bless your world with the joy that love long endures. May all life's passing seasons bring the best to you and yours. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got a hankering for a Guinness now.
Is that Marcus there? Fire evacuation announcement. In case an alarm should sound requiring us to evacuate this hall, the exits are as follows. The double doors immediately to the rear of the room and down the stairs. Additionally, there's an exit door to my left. Go through the doors, take an immediate left, proceed through the stairwell doors and down the stairs, exiting in the rear of the building. Kathy, can you do roll call, please?
Mrs. LeBlanc?
Here.
Mrs. Rancourt?
Here.
Mrs. Suzak?
Here.
Mr. Feely?
Here.
Mr. Grady?
Here.
Ms. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Janitis?
Here.
Chairman Neville?
Here. Approval of minutes. You have a motion to approve the February 28th regular meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second?
A second by Mr. Grady. Any discussion? Any changes? Yes.
Commented on a conversation I had with Jen before the meeting on using technology to have the ability to offer AP classes that were probably marginal with their enrollment at both high schools, either through Skype or whatever, whatever they can offer to us. But I feel it's inappropriate with the amount of technology that we have to be eliminated class sets because there's only 4 or 5 students in it at the AP level. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions about the minutes? By a show of hands, and all those in favor of approving the minutes for February 28th meeting, raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Thank you. John, there are no board guests, correct? And no. Are there any audience?
No.
Okay. Board member comments, starting from my left with our Enfield High representative. I think you probably have some things to say, right?
Yeah. I would just like to say congratulations to the boys basketball team for having a great season. Sadly, it had to come to an end last night during the quarterfinal state game against Ledger High School. It was a really good game. It was really close, 67-69, but they did have a great season. There was some huge highlights throughout the season, like Trey Preston ended up breaking records for scoring so many baskets, and they also were undefeated for the whole season, so they did really good.
Certainly did.
Congratulations. Right. Yep.
Okay. I attended JFK's PTO meeting because Tina had the pre-referendum committee. So they are planning field trips. The 6th graders will be going to the Connecticut Science Center. 7th graders will be going to the New Britain Rock Cats. And 8th graders will be going to High Meadow. And they'll be having a magazine drive in the next few weeks. And if you sell 4 magazines, then the child will be able to go free. So if anybody knows any junior high students and would love to buy magazines, please call and find out one of them. Also, Mr. Van Tassel had the SRO Officer George there to discuss the recent happenings in the school, and all the parents were very satisfied with his replies. I also went to the Eli Whitney PTO meeting, and Mr. Fenton and his school climate committee had their presentation. It was wonderful. They discussed different events that they've been doing. They did, I think I mentioned it last time, like Pennies for Haiti, where they raised almost $1,000, and they had many items that they donated. And they also talked about every day the children make an announcement of a goal or a good thing to get the children inspired every day. and they'll be doing a Little Caesar fundraiser in the next couple weeks. And then I also attended the Effie meeting, and they will be doing Enfield Idol, and you can find that all over the web. And I think they already have 30 people auditioning for it, and it will be May 4th at Esnuntuck. So we'll see how the auditions go, and it should be fabulous. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. Mrs. Hall?
Tim, could I ask Jen a question?
Sure.
Or maybe you have the answer. Why is it back to High Meadow versus the village? Did we stop the village a while ago, or is this just a new change?
Last year, they went to High Meadow because they gave an exceptional price to get us to go back there, much cheaper than the village. And
That's it.
that
Good enough.
it was about
Okay.
dollars, Peter.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, I am not involved in what they're doing this year. Mrs. Hall?
Mr. Chair, I've only been back in town for a little more than 2 hours. I'm not prepared to say anything relative to the school system tonight or the state activities, so I'm silenced.
No
I'm
comment,
sorry.
huh? We'll wait till you get rested and come back to the next meeting. Mr. Feely?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I was over in Fermi High School the other day wandering the hallways, and some of the artwork that you see from these students is amazing. And we have some really talented kids out there, and I really want to acknowledge them for that effort and the talent that they have and the teachers that have brought them there. Also wanted to remind everybody, we got kids as we're winding down. They got a lot of kids out there new behind the wheel, and show some patience on the road, people, and thank God for them. But that's it.
Thank you. John, don't we have an art and music festival coming up
Yes.
in the very near
The very last
future?
Friday and Saturday of this
Okay.
month, it'll be at Enfield High School.
I highly recommend it. Go ahead. Donna?
Actually, I haven't been around doing much, but I do know that on Thursday night at Red Robin will be the fundraiser for first readers. So people might want to stop in during the dinner hour and
Very good. I have a representative from Fermi High School.
I want to congratulate the Enfield High boys as well. I'm a basketball player, and I know how hard it is to get it that far, so that's really incredible. And a quick shout out about our boys. That season ended a while ago, but they actually won the last 3 games in a row, so that's the first time our boys have done that in a long time, so I want to give a shout out to them. And junior prom is coming up. It's the 23rd, so that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. Peter?
I would like to ask when we're going to get either a physical presentation or a hard copy of what's going on with the TAG program still. We're getting a little close to having to pull the trigger here pretty soon, and I don't think we've seen anything solid yet as a board. So I would like to get that going.
I'll defer to Dr. Gallagher on that one.
We sent out the electronically to you the summary sheet. Did you receive that? You had that. If you're looking for something in more detail, I can talk to Mrs. Kavanaugh, and we can arrange for some people to come and make a presentation here if that's what you like.
Well, isn't this something that has to be okayed by the board?
Yes, it'll be coming up in front of the board in terms of that part of the lawyer-type parts will be coming to the board. But
How about the program itself?
program itself, if you want something more detailed than what we gave you in that executive summary sheet, we can do that as well. So I'm assuming 2 weeks from tonight you will have some things on there because I know we've been exchanging emails with the attorneys. So
Okay. And dovetailing on something that Kevin said, wherever we're going with the new high school consolidation and stuff and the building plans and everything, I would really love to see, I'd like that Head Start building, to be honest with you, but some thought given to a specific art academy that we both have for Enfield and also pulling in some of the surrounding towns, because there really is some dynamite stuff.
I believe that the Joint Committee had the department chairs present a month ago, John, was it? I think to the whole committee and laid out some of their expectations for increasing some art and the offerings that they have. I don't think they looked at it as an academy type stuff, but that was their job to present what they were looking for in the combined high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe the art department can fix up D-Wing.
I think they're looking at all kinds of things, and we may have some comments when we get down from the pre-referendum committee, from our representative from that committee. So, anything else, Peter?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Tina?
Yep. I went to the kite meeting last Wednesday, and they are very, very busy. The week of April 23rd through the April 27th is the week of the young child, and there's going to be kindergarten registrations during that week. April 23rd from 12 to 7, they'll be at the Enfield Square Mall in front of Macy's. On April 26th, they'll be at the Lamagna Center from 12 to 7. Also, people will be able to register their children at all the K through 2 schools, Barnard, Memorial, Enfield Street, and Hale between 9:30 and 11, and then again from 1 to 2:30. There is a family science night coming up Thursday, April 12th at Enrico Fermi High from 6 to 8. Usually the families that go there have a great time when they go. Also on Wednesday, May 9th, Kite is going to launch their community plan grant. They're hoping for a big turnout, so the more details to follow, they're looking for a venue.
So they haven't picked a place yet to have the...
No, but it's they know it's Wednesday, May 9th.
Okay. A question came up here in terms of the kindergarten registration. Which Macy's? Is it going to be in the Senate Court area, or is it going to be down at the big store down on the end?
Macy's Women's Store.
Which is down on the end?
On the end, yes.
Very good.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Oh, wait, do you want me to fill in on the pre-ref committee?
Oh,
or-
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm the liaison for the pre-ref committee. So far, we've had 2 meetings. Our first meeting, we met all the committee members, and we toured Enfield High, which was a great tour. It was very informative. I went to Fermi, so I'm more familiar with what Fermi looks like, but I got to tour Enfield High. This past week, we named a chair, vice chair, and secretary. Do you guys want me to name them? Or? Okay, our chairperson is going to be Randy Daigle. Our vice chair is Maureen Brennan, and our secretary is Pat Droney. So they seemed pretty eager. We also, this last meeting was very interesting because we met the architects, and we gave the architects the strategic planning presentations, which they were very happy to see, and so was the committee. And based on just the very initial tour of the building that they took, and just very rough draft data, they were able to give an idea of what they would do with Enfield High, and one of them was focusing a whole wing on art and music, and believe that that should be commingled and together, and that's proven success in high schools. So,
But that wasn't the Head Start building, was it?
no. They like the integrity of Enfield High, and they would be certainly doing things to keep pieces of Enfield High. It wouldn't be a complete demolition, and they felt certain that they would be able to do the renovation without disrupting much of the academics that would be going on, because that's what their focus is keeping everything status quo for the students during their time. So.
Very good.
And if anybody wants to know, we meet Thursdays at 6:30 in the library.
Okay, and you'll be
At
meeting with
Enfield
the next month and a half, is it? Pretty much?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it sounded pretty much like the next 2 months. Everybody booked Thursday nights, so.
Very good. I hope you'll keep us informed at each of our meetings, if you
Yes,
can.
absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, first thing I'd like to do is offer some very well-deserved thanks to our administrators for their actions with the recent mailing problems that we've been having. Things worked out very, very well as far as what the contents actually were, but it could have been a very stressful situation, and I think it was handled in a fantastic manner, and things went very, very smoothly during that time, and I would like to thank Dr. Gallagher, Mr. Torrey, Mr. Van Tassel, who's over at JFK, for doing a fine job, and everybody else that was involved. It was an excellent, how do you say it's an excellent thing to have happened, but
No.
it was a great reaction to what could have been a very dangerous situation. The only other thing I have is I'd like to mention that actually here at the Board of Education, we're going to be having Senator Kissel and Representative Kiner. I'm not sure about Representative Talarita.
She's
but
coming?
Still waiting to hear from her. But they will be here on the 27th of March, and anybody who has any interest in what's going down in Hartford, I'd really welcome you to come in that night and listen to our board guests. It should be a very informative evening. Thank you.
Vinnie?
My turn. I was able to attend the, Ms. Sample helped me out, One School, One Book program that Parkman unveiled for their school. It had to do with penguins. I can't remember the... Mr. Popper's Penguins, what was really neat about it is that they had a presentation from Mystic Aquarium down there, and they had the kids grade by grade, and they had different penguins and where they were, and the kids were involved in it, and kind of a lesson at the same time, and trying to understand where all the different penguins were from, and the kids were really good. And they had some hands-on filming of different type of sea life there that they brought in, which was really cool. I also attended last night the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts. They had a ceremony over at JFK last night, and why I bring that up is that you get groups like the Girl Scouts and the Cub Scouts, and these kids are being brought up in a way to respect and to get along with everybody. I mean, they're both two fantastic organizations. They had a terrific turnout from just the kids here in Enfield, and it was a nice little ceremony. Councilman Lee was there to present a proclamation from the town for this anniversary, which was kind of big, 100 years, but it was nice to see that the parents and the kids that did this thing last night. The last thing I'll bring up is the Enfield High basketball team. They did do a great job. It was a very, I don't know how to explain it. It was just bad that, how it ended that way with the last shot. I was hoping for a tie, but they did great, 25-0 during the regular season. But what really amazed me seeing some of these playoff games, that the amount of kids that came to these games, these kids and adults that were cheering for the team, it was just fantastic. I mean, you could not, they had to shut down the auditorium yesterday because they were just jam-packed. And I hope the fire marshal's not listening right now. But it was a trying to find the right word, great thing. Yeah, it was nice to see how many people came out and supported the team, and they deserved it. They did a fantastic job. Do have one thing. Mr. Torrey, it's a perfect day for you today. Besides retiring, you hit Facebook. I mean, if that's not a really good thing for your career, the end of your career, I mean, hitting Facebook was just, but, good luck in your retirement, though. That is it. Oh, yes. I'd like to have, actually, if we can, for the next meeting, have the Enfield High basketball team come to the meeting so we can congratulate them. And, it was a fantastic feat, 25-0, and I'd like to see if the coach can get some of their players and come in so we can congratulate them in person, if we can do that.
Okay.
That's it.
I have a couple of things. One, I'd echo Mr. Johnson's comments. I think the administration and the staff did a great job, and I think, we hate to practice these things, lockdowns and stuff like that, but it pays off when you have a situation like this, and everybody responded like clockwork and kept our kids safe. That's the best part about it. So my compliments to all who were involved, and the kids, the teachers, the staff, and the administration. Second, besides making Facebook, Tony, we just want to congratulate you. You and John have made a good team, and we've known about John's retirement for a while. Yours was a bit of a surprise, but certainly well-deserved on your part. And I think on behalf of all of us, we just want to thank you and for all the work you've done over the last few decades. And personally, you know how I feel, that you've been my mentor for decades, and I appreciate it. So we wish you well and wish your family well, and thank you for all that you've done for us.
May I say something?
Sure.
I do want to thank the Board of Education and the people of Enfield for allowing me to work and service and help educate the children in this town. I hope whatever service I may have provided, I hope that it was beneficial. I hope that in any way that I didn't hurt anybody. and what I had to do at times, and what you and John and I wrestle with these things all the time, and we're each other's conscience, and we take pride in that. So I just want to thank the boards, this board, the past boards, and it's been a pleasure to work with John. He's just when you know him as I know him, you know that he brings his heart and soul into this town and to this public education scene that we have. And thank you for your support.
Well, we appreciate the steady hand that both of you have brought to this district, so thank you very much.
I'm thinking about sending a copy of the article to President Obama, because in the paper tonight it says something about me taking my first position 2 years or 3 years prior to him being born.
I didn't mention any of that, Tony.
Oh, okay. There was someone there.
I thought it was George Washington.
I thought you were going to see if you could get him to retire.
I said that before. No.
I don't know.
Luckily, the board members don't have eggs to throw.
It's hard to speak after that.
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple of more mundane things that I wanted to bring up. One, I asked Dr. Gallagher to schedule I think it's our joint budget meeting, if I'm not mistaken, John, and I believe it's on the 26th, although I don't think it's been confirmed. But I asked him to schedule that at JFK so that the council could get a tour of the portables and understand the need that we have included in our CIP request. I just think you really need to see some of the things that we saw there, and it'll give them a better perspective in looking at it. I also asked Dr. Gallagher to have the town evaluate the condition of the portables, particularly that floor situation that we looked at when we were over there, and get it to us prior to our 26th meeting, because if there is something that can be done, we have a vacation coming up, and possibly if there's some short-term things that we can deal with. But I just in terms of a liability issue, I think it's important to have a report on that. And finally, Dr. Gallagher, Matt Koppler, Scott Copeland, and I had the opportunity to attend a business luncheon with members of Enfield's business community last Friday. The mayor orchestrated the meeting, and Mass Mutual was our host. And we had executives from Mass Mutual, Jagenberg, Lego, Comcast, Hallmark, the Chamber of Commerce, and Isnunta Community College participating. We shared the status of our reorganization efforts up to date, and our goal at the meeting was really to reach out and hopefully initiate partnerships between the Enfield Public Schools and Enfield's business community. I think it's something that we thought has been lacking in the past, and we need to reach out as we go through our reorganization, particularly that of the high school. Improving education in Enfield and preparing better students for job opportunities is a common goal for everybody in town, not just the school folks, but the industries as well. And I have to tell you, we felt we got a very, very positive response at the meeting from these folks, and they made a commitment to continue and extend the dialogue at future meetings. And we're also going to be inviting some other folks to these meetings, from the school folks there, to talk about different ways that we can initiate different kinds of partnerships. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to keep you updated on it, and as we go through this, I'll give periodic updates. And that's all I've got at this point in time. So we move on to superintendent's report.
I'll be a little bit repetitive, I think, on some of these items, because some of them have been mentioned, but the first one is the calendar for the budget-related meetings. As Mr. Neville said, we've tentatively have Monday, March 26th to meet with the council, and we're planning to be at JFK, and I'm waiting to hear the start time and confirmation from the town manager. The town is also scheduling a budget community conversation for Thursday, April 5th, and the time and place on that needs to be announced yet. And then finally, the public hearing on the budget is scheduled for Wednesday, April 25th. I believe they're planning to go to Enfield High School. That hasn't been confirmed. We don't have the start time yet. But if you could put those three dates down, March 26th, April 5, and April 25th, I'd appreciate it. Item 2, we've already mentioned that Senator Kissel and Representative Kiner will be here on March 27th. We're hoping Representative Talarita can also attend. And the only thing I would add to that is, if you have a particular question on a bill or an item that pertains to education, if you'd get that to me earlier, I can forward that on to them, and it would expedite their meeting, and they'd know what to bring if there's something specific. So I'll try to route that to them. The next one is informative, and I know Mrs. Hall serves in this capacity right now. In your packet is a flyer from CREC seeking members for their board of directors, their upcoming board of directors. So not to put Mrs. Hall on the spot, because I don't know if she's interested in continuing or not, but if anyone has an interest, if you'd see Mr. Neville in Mr. Neville's mailing, he should have the nomination forms. So if any of you are interested.
There are actually two pieces of this. There's the CREC Council, of which I am a member presently. There is also the Board of Directors, which is a subset of the Correct Council, and I am not on the Board of Directors at this moment. I had been in the past, and Enfield, which means Enfield has not been on the Board of Directors this year. We can request to be added to, and it's something that is shifting based on the size of the schools systems that are involved. So we get to be there more often than some of the other school systems. It's a rotating kind of thing, not exclusively rotating because not all of the systems are as involved as we have been. But it is two pieces. And yes, I'm certainly
I could tell
happy
that
to
from the memo.
continue.
It's just confused the way they wrote it. When they did the 1 and 2, I was thinking, are they talking two separate, or is that you're the same person on both? The way I was
Same
looking at it?
person on both.
Okay, all right.
And it is the school board who is a member of the Board of Directors, irrespective of who represents them. So let's say I'm on the council this year, and we agree to be on the board next year, but someone else is the council representative. They will be the representative of the board as well.
Very good.
So if the board, our board wants to be considered, that's one of the questions, whether we want to be considered to be on the Board of Directors, which, as I say, is only a subset of the existing Correct Council.
Knowing so much about it, do you think it's to our advantage to have that representation from the board, on the Board of Directors?
It is to our advantage, yes, but now I have been going to just about every meeting, and the determination of whether there is a quorum or not can be totally dependent on the Board of Directors present. So if someone is not going to every meeting, then that could minimize our impact on the council.
Okay, and unless somebody else is interested, I know you've been, had a passionate interest for a number of years. When I saw that document, I immediately thought of you, because I know you go to most of those meetings anyway and represent us very well. So I don't know how the rest of the board feels, whether anybody has the time or the inclination. If you do, let me know, and then I'll pursue it. All right?
I think we'll just go ahead and say we're interested in being on the Board of Directors, and I'll continue until
Is that
such
okay
a
with
time
the
as
board?
somebody else
Sounds
steps
great.
up and says yes.
I think that's a great idea. Very good. I was just reminded of another meeting that's going to be coming up. It's at the Senior Center. John, I know I told you about it, that Mr. Copeland had arranged to meet at the Senior Center. I can't think of the director's name over there. I think it's the 19th.
Susan Lather.
Yeah, Susan Lather. I'll get the date, and it's at 12 noon, I believe, over there, to answer questions from the senior folks about the reorganization. So I'm going to be joining him, and if somebody else wants to go over there or available at that time, certainly we could. I believe it's the 19th. I'll get an email out to you. I just don't have the sheet at home. But that's another opportunity, and I think those are the kinds of opportunities we want to use in getting people's questions answered about the reorganization, particularly consolidation of the high school.
And then the very last thing, Mr. Noble, I know it's not on the agenda, regarding the white powdery substance, there is a letter on the board's webpage from the Department of Health saying that all the tests came back negative. They didn't find anything dangerous in the substance, but they also are not releasing the results of the test because it's an ongoing investigation with the FBI. So, and the very last thing I would say on that is, if someone has not signed up for one of the electronic communications, you really probably should, because that's really the bulk of what we were doing on Monday, and a lot of it fell on Kathy's desk to take care of that. So if you haven't signed up for Q Notify or the Everbridge, you probably want to go on the board's webpage and do that, because a lot of this stuff comes out electronically because of the turnaround time involved.
Just as long as you bring that up, I know that I got a notice from, I think it was Everbridge is the one that I got the notice on. But I remember you talking about putting it out 8 different ways and 8 different venues, and it gets very, very complicated. I wonder if at some board meeting we can talk further about cutting it down and only getting these things out on a couple of things, because when you're in a crisis, you don't have that kind of time. And we also want the public to standardize that if there's going to be an issue that gets out there, it goes up, this is what you look for, this is where you look for it. And so-
We'll be attending a post-incident session on what had happened, and I was planning to bring that up there to see what seems to be the best options, and I was planning to come back to the board and recommend, because you're right, we'd like to cut it back probably to about 3 different venues rather than, I think it was 6. I think we were dealing with 6 at the time, so.
That would be perfect.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes, Kevin?
To that point, it might not be a bad idea if we're espousing people get onto the Notify system, that at some point maybe we have a handout that they could take from a Board of Ed meeting to walk them through the process when they get home.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
We can handle that. We can handle that.
Just as a matter of curiosity, is there any way that we can put in a, yes, on our screen here, just so that people understand and also know where our websites are and things like that? Just have them going across the bottom.
Ticker tape?
Yes.
Yeah, Chiron across the bottom of the screen, I think is what he's asking about.
I believe they can do that because I defer to them. They're taping it right now for you, or broadcasting live actually right now. But we can ask them how to do that, and I'm sure they would help us with
Right,
that.
because as we're describing things, they can put up something that says, EnfieldSchools.org, and
I know they do it with people. They
notify-
put the names of people and the
Yes,
titles below it. so,
and I'm
right.
just thinking that it would probably benefit a lot of people, because you hear about things on the radio or whatever, oh, yeah, I got to check that out, and what was that, what was that address? You never remember to do.
Visual is good.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I'm sure we can work it out with them. I think that's it. Let's move on. Anything else, Dr. Gallagher? Okay, let's move on to board committee reports. Are there any reports? Do you want to?
No.
Okay. Very good. We have no approval of accounts and payrolls, Tina? Okay. Unfinished business. Number 14, action, if any, on establishing an administrative leadership cabinet. My understanding is Dr. Schuman could not make tonight's meeting. John, do you want to speak to that?
Well, basically, Dr. Schuman has a meeting conflict in Newington. I think they're doing some of their budget work, and he needed to be there. So what we were hoping was that this item could be rescheduled to a future agenda when he'd be available.
That's okay? Okay, then we'll do that. 15, new business. We have a policy revision, and I'm going to turn it over to Chuck.
Thank you, sir. This is for a policy. The number is 4131. It's professional development for educators. I'd like to make a motion that we consider this discussion to be the first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Feely. Is there any comments on this?
Well, as everybody has seen, or at least I hope everybody has seen, the changes that are involved, it's basically from line 20 down through the through 28, and then we also are adding in the legal references. These are the requirements of the new Connecticut General State Statutes, and we're just basically falling in line with what the statutes are saying.
Okay, I know in going to the meeting that there was a lot more detail, and I think we agreed to put that detail into the administrative reg, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Tony?
And that has been done.
Okay. Any other comments on this? I know there are a number of people at the meeting itself, but are there any other comments on this? Then if that's the case, why don't we vote on it for the first, we have a motion that's been moved and seconded, and why don't we do a roll call, please? Kathy?
Mrs. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mrs. Rancourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Suzak?
Yes.
Mr. Feely?
Yes?
Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Janitis?
Yes.
Chairman Neville?
Yes,
Motion passes.
very good. Items,
Excuse me, just as a, for information purposes, just want to say that as we are progressing through this, that this will be up on our website so that
Already up.
people will
Very
be
good.
able to.
it's already
see it.
on?
It's already up.
Yes.
Very good. All set?
Down, thank you.
Going on to item B, ratify the CSEA, SEIU Local 760 paraprofessionals contract. We've been asked by the paraprofessionals union to table this item until our next meeting in order to give them an opportunity to clarify some questions with their membership. We're not looking to change it, we're just basically tabling it just for one more meeting, so they could have an opportunity to answer a few questions. Anybody have any objection with that? Do we need to formally table it, Joyce,
Nah.
at this point?
We can, just to make sure it's legal, but there's no reason to. We're responding to a request.
Motion to table?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? It's tabled. No, we have no executive session, right, John?
Motion to
We do,
adjourn.
we do have a need for a non-meeting, so now we can have your motion for,
Motion to adjourn.
all those in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned. How much time is it?